the truth of firearms in the United States and in the world. Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, which is your favorite, because you'll find out answers to all your questions. I mean, you may question to people, instead putting your own question to your God. As every human being has the presence of God on him, so put your question to him, give him all your homework life. You'll find out answers. You'll be working together as Jesus was with the Christ. His angel God, who got him on the base for being loyal to himself. This is the reality of life. Focusing on feeding your thoughts from your interior vibration. You'll see everything. Check your dreams, which reflect your real, present, and future life. So let me explain. When the Lord says, "Woe to those who sow coconut for the joint of the hands," understand therefore that what is held in the hand is a weapon, a firearm, right? That's why we have the word army, which comes from arm. And who make cells for the head of people of all sizes. They're killing everywhere. What is valid, therefore, protect itself, but the verse gives just any external or a physical or ephemeral protection. A masquerade protection, And people of all sizes are those who sell their souls for their physical matter. As explained in the Bible, Matthew 16:26. And what good would it be for a man to win everyone over and lose his own soul? This verse has nothing to do with the deposit of the physical body. You're supposedly deaf. Read a book, you understand what is death. But rather, it's your blood contract. For those seeking to gain the world, in order to trap the souls of God's creations by your firearm contract, that's crazy. Let's analyze it. When you look very careful to those who use and own a firearm, they get the first position as hiding themselves, then taking a stand on shooting. They poor hypocrites. Why they don't face to face like the time of cowboys? You remember the films? Cowboys? The reality was, the cowboys, they each other knows that they soulless. One or both were gonna die. But even though they are armed together, you armed and I'm armed, they will never come to you looking in your eyes and tell you that we love you. The police don't do that. My cowboy will do that. They have the same practice of hunters. They do training on killing, practicing the killing to finally create traps to you as a human. They need just to take a soul. My God, this is crazy. All people who use the firearm take the soul of innocent, weak, comical, and sick people forgetting that who kills by the sword will die by the sword. If you really care about your life, your ascension, you will never link your soul to dead, lost people. With no accumulations of good karmas, you make your victims people you don't even know spiritually. Your victims are people who are supposed to end their life differently than you should. Now, they can't leave this atmosphere because of your stupidity, your revenge, your pride, your prejudice, your ephemeral luxury lifestyle. They're stuck in your aura, waiting for you. They will never leave you alone, following you everywhere. In your room, your bathroom, on the road, everywhere. They're there. Because they can't lift up their soul. Everyone can estimate how many years he's going to spend in abyss on multiplying by 7. Every money stolen, every people killed, and so on. Every sin has its corresponding pain times 7 in the abyss. How can you come in my house, steal my stuff, and when I wake up, you hide with your firearm ready to shoot on me without even negotiation? Why do you confront citizens as civilians with a firearm? What do you do when a citizen is killed by a gunshot? Where is his protection? The best way you can protect your citizens is to stop producing guns. That's true. Why are you hiding behind a lawyer, your boss, your systematic judge? Look, they are never on the ground. You are the only one who makes decisions. Then accumulate your negative karma to any injustice, even if it is covered by your umbrella. You know what I mean. They also create their own karma as your umbrella. So you'll be all alone in the abyss for all that you've done. So behave like a human in front of his fellows. Know that only losers, cowards, idiots, and sick take it out on others for failing to achieve goals that for the most part seems to be vulgar and absurd. They sometimes believe that they were stupid from a good, a condition or an opportunity which is in reality does not belong to them. Not even in the past accumulation, but yes, it is a part of the negative karma, the one they are still creating and will always be indirect to the life which always give you the free will decision, fair and perfect, or lies and chain it. The ill-bred hypocrite, ill-loved, ill-formed, because most of their soul are lacking, trying every time to get extra than others, making injustice by their own means, which only lead to blind themselves to their will of reincarnation and remain thousands of years lost in the abyss and suffering sorrow, desolation, torment. Man, it's hell. Let me tell you that all those who hold firearms to attack or defend themselves are mentally retarded. Yes, they're like those who create genocides and massacres. We have also the single killer of innocent human with comical weakness. There are also those who kill dependent, strangers surprised by your circumstances created from your negative karma. And we have also those who kill culprits, convicts, and criminals. Yeah, he's already jailing. Why are you killing him? And those who threaten. Look, you need to know that as soon as you buy a firearm, receive it as a gift or for a service or whatever reason, your conscience delivers a cosmic authorization to abandon your God as being your only one protection. Therefore, you have accepted a new protection out of Him, which means that you have signed a new astral contract for two conditions. First, either you'll shoot and kill somebody, or you'll be killed. Shooting a human creature by handing its terrestrial journey, delivering its soul to astral beings, enclosing it in the same karmic chain as you, will be your great mistake on this life. Have you ever wondered why they shoot directly at the chest, the head, the heart, at your sensitive, vital parts? Because this is how they were training. They're like robots. You know, machines? Yeah. They're disabled with soulness. They don't have soul. There's soul left. Remember, to make an intelligent car so that it can stop in front of incidents, it's the same. They put connected cameras on those cars. So you have also cameras on your, you remember, right? Then you have a command room, like machines, they check cameras and say, you made some mistakes. Do you know why armed people are more afraid of bullets? Because they have accumulated too many thoughts of death when you get harmed. Firearm, I mean. They have felt blood image in the aura. In that second, they accepted that poisonous tool. I mean, the firearm. They get crazy, bitch. Some people spend their time in jungle, in desert, in a remote place, taking hostages, doing massacres. This means that apart from the poisonous tool, they also enclose their life in a terrestrial hell. They're the first. They own hostage themselves, first of all. They own prisoner themselves. So, they have locked their own soul before even dying. When you get hostage, you also in hostage. And everything you do and you see is registered by your etheric body. So, you will be doing the same to yourself in abyss, then in your next reincarnation. My dears, have you been in a situation where your kid shot himself? That was a nightmare, right? You get asked question, why him? Why my son? You need to check in your dreams. You'll find out. You were advised before that happened. My dear, this is a good time that you can avoid catastrophic situation by cleaning up your thoughts, your family thoughts, your neighborhood thoughts, and save your time to ascend to the light with your beloved. This is a great mistake people make. They automatically sign a contract on paying a firearm, so they pay to destroy their own soul. You pay for that. The service is paid for a possession to manipulate, to threat, to destabilize, destroy, ruin, and ransack for your diversion, hijacking, abuse, surplus, reversion, jealousy, and make all unauthorized stand for your wrong and inability. You're so far away to be happy, you'll never be satisfied. We all know that. Bearer of a firearm does not secure, never, but instead gives you a destroying soul influence toward of individuals fed by the same vibration. Let me explain. The firearms of a so-called protected man, the one who protect me, the policeman, come from the same origin as the firearm of the so-protected threat thief. So, even if they have different suppliers, the manufacturers of the trade makers have the same origin. Who is shooting whom? What? Who protects whom? This is a triangle trick we have between a police with a gun who has to protect an armed civilian against a thief with a hammer. So we have 3 men, 2 guns, and 1 situation. This is injustice. How can 3 men have 2 with guns? No. Here's the solution. Please. Let's shut up, close, turn off all gun factories. Let us all deal with that situation without a gun. Because they both mess up with a civilian. The fact, too many policemen also does not like guns. Right, I tell the truth. I tell the truth. They are more fearful than civilians. Whether it is a soldier, policeman, army thief, they are the first to panic with a gun. They're cowards. When they shoot, they're the first to panic. They are from the same family with different functions and activities. A contract for a fire weapon is actually a contract of a blood. As soon as you get it, you are automatically bound to blood. And then your degree of stupidity will cause your soul to move away from you to protect itself against yourself. Do you understand it? So you automatically put your soul into a state of rest. You sold your soul to the devil, becoming a devil. You have your mission of the innocent blood that you'll feed on. Jesus Christ knew it. So he designated his blood compared to that of lamb. The blood of the slain lamb. The blood of this neighbor who looks at you silently and returns to his room asking for God's protection over you. You'll never know that. How many times do you have left to make your people forget the blood flows so they can prosper and ascend in the light? Think. Some don't even understand that having a gun until death means that you left, the gun stays with another killer that will be sending painful karma to your soul in the abyss. It's a big mistake, old man. Look, we can read on Psalm 6:13. It says, "For great is the goodness of the Lord toward me. I have a positive karma. And you deliver my soul from the bond of the death." And you, assholes, who's going to deliver your soul from death? As soon as that firearm is shedding blood, your sorrow will be multiplied in the abyss. Every negative things you create and live in this world will be connecting pains and sorrow to your soul. Know that all of you are not spared from this infernal karma. This includes, let me tell you, all buyers like you, us, sellers, manufacturers, suppliers, and traders. They're all in the same bag. Often, I am surprised when a political leader come on TV and make such a declaration as lies on how to end mass killing, how to end wars, massacre, and armed robberies. We all know very well that your firearm factories continue producing much more firearms, weapons. So, what kind of solution do you have in mind? To stop killing civilians, to end the war in Syria, in Chad, like in the east of Congo, in Africa, wherever, in Asia, you have to stop your firearm factory, the one you support if you don't have. Do not provide anything to the rebels, troops, and to those politicians, killers, leading some countries. People are dying only because of your thirst for money. You a poor devil. You a thief. Your supply of raw materials for the manufacture of weapons make you a murderer. Check it out in your dreams. You'll find the truth from here. Fucking losers. Why don't you just stop your supply now? This will guarantee the future of that child who is born today. We know that she's gonna live Yav with the last rounds of cartridges, but we're going to be sure that her adulthood will be peaceful. Look, the decision that the United States must take on this matter is very crucial for the survival of the human race because we all depend on it. Do not think only for the United States, but for all over the world. You have the strength to bring peace to the world. And remember, this is your time, your opportunity to save your world. You can be the savior like Jesus. Look, they are the same people who criticize God as if God allows them for banalities or stupidities that they do to poor ignorant. They are the first to come to criticize religion as the opium of the people. Damn shit. You are the opium of the people. As I explained in my previous show on disabled atheism, each one, before coming on earth, chooses the family he will be born with, the city, the neighborhood, taking into account what is karma. His accumulation allowed to better purify his negative karma. So, when you're a kid and see a parent teaching you how to use a gunfire, ooh, shit, man. You in trouble, kid. Baby, you in trouble. You are getting into a sad karmic situation that will cause the loss of your soul. So, you're in the wrong hands. This is not a game, boy. This is serious. That means you are getting only two options. Either you kill or they kill you. When you use a gunfire, you accumulate thoughts that will materialize without your control. So, what will be your creative thoughts on using a gun? Can you remember that? Which aspect will have your dreams? Look, Even if a hunter does not contribute to the vegetarian eat, when meat is locking down the human race elevation, so the choice is yours. Can you understand that it is difficult and practically impossible for a human who dies from a gunshot, any accident, a suicide, a strangulation, even in your hospice and palliative anticipated death process, it's impossible to ascend into light or to get into the Jesus garden. There we die after the deposit of the physical body. Did you know that? Look, I'm sorry, but I have to say it. All your loved ones, friends, families, acquaintances who died on such a circumstances need your help. Your prayer, they need it. They are most lost in hell. They're in the astral plane of pain, sadness, tiredness, and exhaustion which they felt before depositing their physical body. Example, a throat will have the same throat pain after death. Even the suicide man will have the same suicide pain. For an injured person, even for poisonous person, the same. Imagine someone who committed a suicide in 1921, and today he will be over 100 years in the astral plane with the same pain. If you kill someone today, whatever be the reason, that person will not be able to leave this sphere unless he gets stronger energy accumulated in Jesus Christ, the only one since the creation to be able to ascend despite the hanging. You all know that. Even if it was not easy for him, but knowing that no one ascended before him on those astral conditions. And when he understood that he was really in his last moment in the cross, his last minute, he visualized his ascending dreams. Read the book to our light. But that was different. So, you can find mine here in the book. But I'm trying to explain to you how was the situation of Jesus. Look, all those who has not got any ascended dream, they need to get prepared all their thought as they're still alive. Even in your hospital bed, you can still create very good and strong thought corresponding to accumulation of light. I'm not talking about exotic body accumulation because that is the energy used on this sphere, but the divine accumulation which lead to the ascension to the light. Look, your God will show you everything through your dreams. Let me keep explaining about Jesus. When he understood that it was almost time to lay down the physical body and ascend into light, he understood that something was wrong. Yes, something was wrong with the condition he was dealing with. Crucifixion. The crucifixion sheer that will be impossible for Jesus to make ascension being crucified. He was figuring, he was trying to understand, so he get in touch, in contact with God. He called it God. God was not answering that time. He says to God, they must release me. I can't be in this condition. God, how can I ascend on such as crucifixion? This was not in the contract that Jesus assigned. That it pleased God tell me something, but at the moment, God said nothing. Because Jesus knew that dying, crucifixion, you go straight to hell. Being on earth, like every human, Jesus had 3 higher bodies and 4 lower bodies. So, his feeling on astral body, the reaction, in tears, supplication to God, because he was trying to use that. He cries, Heli, Heli, lama sabachthani. Just cried from this body. People translate, God, why did you abandon me? I put my life in your hands. But as the ascension was a secret reserved only for certain very high studies, where most students did not understand the process, so God looked into account the great contract of Jesus, then gave him the responsibility to teach the resurrection, the ascension into light to Muslims, Catholics, Judaism, Buddhism, to Toquist, Kimbardist, Pevalongos, to all those religions, Jesus received the mission which remained engraved in the divinity for centuries. The teaching of the ascension, which come down to love of the neighbor. Not carrying a weapon, those who receive a slap give another one. Reason why we peacefully protest because of this. Here is what Jesus achieved. Look, they like 7 or 8 points. He received the ascension in the light as reflected in his contract. Create your foe to get that contract. Ascension in the impossible condition, crucifixion, hanging, suicide, you all know the list. Accumulating light on dream state after stopping all his vital organ functions for 3 days. Jesus was able to keep his Christ in his body after your so-called death. The 4th point is, by his perfection, which is never acquired by a caring God, Father, man, he manifests himself from Mary and his disciples' dreams at the same night, the Lord. 5 is that he left his physical body after 3 days by himself. And the 6th is he is leading over the 6th wraith of love and devotion, where the vibratory rates of all religion is located. And then he's leading over the rest place, receiving all dead who have lived with good vibration, but for a small lack of positive karmic accumulations, they have missed their ascension. Jesus said, I'm going to prepare a place for you in my Father's house. It's over there in the peace, the great place. If you fail the ascension, you get in to Jesus, unless you go to hell. Remember that you're the only one who have to manage. I can give you an example. There was a airplane manager who had to get his journey, he gets with his valet. The manager was in executive place, seat, with his valet on economic one. He feels some pain, some diseases, and he received an emergency, the sports, and got on the plane. But before taking off, he gave up his soul and immediately died. So he was withdrawn from the airplane immediately, transported to a closer hospital. His valet also took off from the plane, right? And after some hours, they were reprogrammed for their return as 1 passenger and only 1 package. So the valet still occupied his seat as an economy god, but the body, I said, not the director, not the manager, but the body was transferred as a parcel, a luggage. So when the presence of God withdraws from you, you lose all your faculties, then you'll have to disappear. leaving only your soul. The Bible in Genesis 2:7 tells us that the Lord God formed man out of the dust of the earth, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Every human has to make a great effort to get rid of his astral shell. When you keep a firearm at home after your death, instead of having a luminous dream that would accompany your soul to recognize angels of rest, you have your astral shell in front, which will block you in the lowest sphere. You're going to find every details in my book. So, the guy will betray you, all the mistreatment, thieves, hijacking, bad companies, criticism, condemnation, judgment will betray you. You're asking why? They will come back to your memory as if you were in a last judgment. I mean, you will be betraying yourself. Do you know why ancient Hebrews and Muslims practice it was forbidden to eat meat and suffocated blood? Do you know why Jehovah's Witnesses forbade blood transfusion? Because of the contract is about blood. To lose the soul. And look, the Bible in Deuteronomy 4:29 says that you must seek God with all your heart and with all your soul. Even with your firearm, dedication to the church, your generosity and kindness only justify your heart effort, not your soul. So you're missing one. Here is how your soul leaves you when you're carrying a gun. Read on Psalms 42:5. David asked his soul, why do you fall down, my soul, and mourn within me? The soul start mourning when lamenting continues. It will leave you. Right. I sometimes wonder what you think when you're buying a gun. They're the same people selling to you and to your opponents. Why don't you update yourself? Because sometimes firearms are no longer protective. You need like hydrogen or atomic bombs. Surprisingly, when being in your blood life gets on TV with insanity, only a good guy with a gun can stop a bad guy with a gun. That's crazy. I tell the truth, man, that's crazy. There is not a good guy with a gun. Never. There will never be a good guy with a gun. A good guy has nothing to do with guns. There are many people maintaining muscles, strength through the martial arts. Many have amassed wealth through music, sports. But in this low sphere, in the earth, but why do you need to shed blood to enrich yourself, to be successful, to have power, to have strength? Then, after your death, everything remains, even your underworld. You have to be so stupid to link your family in those bloody business. Your grandfather who started that bloody business after 50 years of pain in abyss, he is currently in Syria paying his karma that is sank at the time. When some people condemn social networks or media for mass killing, supremacist violence, radicalized Islamists and others, they should understand that it's because of guns law that they're making troubles. Without guns, they'll be calm and cool. The difference between you and a son of the light is that the son of light makes famine as his divine weapon to ascend further into the upper spheres. And even false, mistreat, divorce, it helps to the glory of God. Knowing the law of causes and effect, the Son of God assumes his condition being responsible for what's happening to himself and to those around him. This is a great human. Then everything he touches is blessed. When he goes to those countries underdeveloped, he creates NGOs, hospitals, schools. He adopts little angels with golden hearts. He feeds the angry ones. Even in his own developing country, he is taking care of the homeless, offerings detoxification programs to needy people, supporting projects against human destruction, against cancer, AIDS. Indeed, he multiplied his good vibration rates to reach the ascension in the light. Did you know that you can ascend without even saying a prayer to God, in the simple condition of pronouncing his name thousands and thousands of times, or working for the Red Cross, taking care of destitute, poor, wounded, elderly, abandoned child, providing water, giving advice, going to comfort prisoner. And look, there you will be a God on earth for all those people in need. A guardian angel for others. Like Jesus. You will be Christ and make sure that you are living your paradise here on earth. Read the book. You'll find out. Look, all those people in distress have also lived life like you are. They built this country, United States, and living in the White House. They invented in science and technologies. They had the same opportunity as you are. But for the insufficient accumulation, they have chosen to be reborn in localities at war, with health crisis, in distress, because they had no choice. Well, some are still in pain and sorrow in abyss. Look, as everything pays here below, they have to ask for your help to alleviate the heavy karma. There will not be any angel coming from even help a widow if you don't. As soon as you get in goodness and wellness, don't let others in distress. You never know which help you will have in the afterlife. Even a butterfly can be useful to you in the audience. Forgive your neighbors. Love them like Christ loved the church. That's God loving you even with your burden of accumulated the evil. He is there, always with you. He sees everything and he knows everything. Maybe you only came to purge a small karma that caused your misstep into the light in the last karma. So, be blessed for the eternity. Why do you put yourself under the obligation to condemn others, forcing divorce, humiliating others, when you don't have what your head wants? If you don't have food, or you get sick, or you lose a job, or you mistreated, why? You can't go to bed without offending your partner, your parent, your neighbor. You only believe that yourself being betrayed while you are a traitor. You only think that you abandon it while you isolate yourself from the others. You make yourself master for possessing a firearm, forgetting that your gun is the cause of your failure, your disgrace. Everything you touch is cursed. Right. Look, if you have a negative thought projected to kill an innocent civilian, remember that all people who did the same mistake did not change anything here on earth. Life still continues as if nothing happens. But in the abyss, your pain is widened. Do you really accept to live the same pain of a shooting during your abyss journey? You need to check from your dreams how long you stay there in the abyss. And I can bet not less than 400 years with pain and sorrow. Don't be stupid, man. God has all the time to wait. Then you'll meet the same guy here after those 400 years. He'll be your drunk father. And don't forget that he'll have the same choice of decision as you have now. Or he kills you, or he lets you go because he's drunk. Because you'll be both chained. Now, all your excess on eating, drinking, too much alcohol, smoking are caused by the wandering soul killing. He'll do everything to ensure that you don't stand up. He'll always stay with you until you die so he can take care of you. You can still get your soul back if you want. As soon as you're alive, everything is possible by your angel guardian. The return of the soul could be seen in a dream as the return of a loved one in your life when the cosmical Christ always uses connection close to you. Even if you ignore everything you dream it about, there will always be something to connect you to the future reality. Make sure to never mess up with someone who is in the divine services. He can rush your life to end for the wellness, avoiding too much negative accumulation to you. He's helping you. He can call the Almighty God present in his body to send bombs, lights, rains, waves, slicks, tornadoes of divine flames, divine rays to neutralize your activities by protecting the human race. You'll be jailed in the astral for a long time, man. Look at the seventh wraith. They're specializing on destroying, burning, and flooding your body, your thought, your feeling, your aura from the force, contrary force to yours, which remain all around you while awaiting your elevation. It is a gift that you receive. But if you don't accept that light which purifies, your precipitation will be the best choice of your soul because you lost it for a while. So, don't lose your greatest gift just for your bad feelings. Look how yourself. If you knew that double mistake you made, by killing, you have bonded in a lower astral state with the person who remains close to you, so you become indebted to him. By killing yourself at the moment, you surrounded whoever was your victim, where you become helpless, weak, while undergoing the same pain as they are suffering. But you don't kill, if you mean that I don't want to kill myself, they will always be there, even if you're dead, they're there. All people you have killed, they're there with you, those souls. So why are you fighting for the legal sale of firearms? bringing more people in the abyss mean more confusion and pain for you and for them, boy. When you can't break your bonds, let others try. The United Nations and the United States must prohibit countries from producing firearms, atomic and biological weapons for your protection. Look where you are now. You've got five guns, right? But all the bastards are now in atomical and biological arms. Even if you get some bombs, you won't use it unless you run away, then you get caught, or you can go to the war where you're gonna die easier. So, what are you exempt? Go ahead. Why don't you build just your own factories? And don't forget to build strong bunkers. Your freedom in all that is wrong. You are the one who feed baby Kim Jong-un by your disabled foot. You need to learn that some of your foot escape, then feed disabled people who put them into practice. So you are responsible for all of this. You spend more money on vanity than on welfare. Why? How many children with cancers have you already helped in St. Jude? Don't come on social media anymore telling people about protecting America. Does your gun protect the country against terrorists or against American citizens? They're not terrorists. They're your brothers and sisters. It is your action and thoughts that create chaos or negative situation on this blessed land. Remember that freedom goes the same with equality and brotherhood. Here is the extra from the book. I'll explain you the instruction of Saint Germain and all ascended master from the ascended Tola Jenska from Geneva, 1959. In the name of the love of Jesus, be all brothers and love each other. Don't you criticize anything and anyone, then obey the voice of God. Life on earth is so short and so uninteresting that it is better to prepare for heavenly life, eternal life. May you be unlighted and golden, my dear children. May your life on earth not be marred by bad thoughts. Prepare for your final departure. I implore you not to be interested in the product of the human brain because they are false. Only the voice of God is right and protect you from unhealthy radiation and actions that you would later regret. Hear the voice of God and His prophet. This is the good Samaritan speech. So the choice is yours. Thank you.